Okay, here we're live. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hi,
Hey
everyone.
Hi.
Can we quickly
hello,
check
everyone.
if we can?
Yeah.
Sorry, just if we can, they can hear us. Since we're reading the chat. Sorry, Amel, I stole your thunder.
No. But yeah, it's safe, I would say, to get started by asking this famous question: do you hear me? Do you see me?
I think they are.
I think they're hearing us. Okay.
Great. Good news.
Let's go.
So I guess we are good to go. Yeah. So hello, everyone, and you're welcome in the 7th episode of the journey of Unity Open project. So first, let me start by quickly introduce us. So my name is Amel. I'm Creator Advocate at Unity, and today I'm joined as usual by Chema and Ciro. Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, so a quick reminder before starting about what this initiative is about and what is Unity Open Project. So Unity Open Project is a collaborative initiative between us from Unity and you, the community, to come together to create small open source games. And since late September, we started together our first Unity Open project called Chop Chop. And hopefully we'll finish this in 2021. So this first project is an adventure action game. And maybe, Chiro, you want to tell us a little bit more about the story of this game?
Sure. So as you mentioned, the game is called Chop Chop. And let me show you the game look. So the game is a little adventure game with a cute character, I would say. You're seeing here how the game looks. This is actually a little bit of old footage, but the game looks pretty similar. The story of the game is that this character is a chef and lands on this island where there's a cooking festival happening. So he joins the residents in this cooking festival, and at the cooking festival there's a famous chef, which you can see here on the right. And basically the cooking festival revolves around this chef, and so our protagonist, the pig, has to find some ingredients to craft some dish which would impress the chef, so he can win the cooking festival, basically. And that's pretty much like the gist of the story, if you want. So obviously the character is gonna meet other characters, he's gonna find some obstacles, he's gonna fight a little bit as well. And in the quest to find like these legendary ingredients, craft this dish which will impress the chef and then win the festival. That's the story, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
My favorite story.
So,
And,
Amel, where can people find this project?
Yeah, so a quick reminder where to find this project. So let's start with GitHub. I would say that's the first entry point where you can basically find all the contributions that we have and that are currently included in the project. You can find it easy if you just type Unity Open Projects in Google or in the description below in the video of this live stream. So as you can see, now we are above 800 commits, and this is crazy. We have more than 60 people who already contributed to the Unity Open project. So again, thank you all for this amazing job. And it's like the biggest team I have worked on, I would suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And then from GitHub, let's go to the forums, where you can find all the discussions that are going behind the scene. Like usually before starting any PRs, we have a lot of discussion going there between us and the community, and sometimes people from the community also talk and gather together to give feedback and improvements. So that's really interesting if you want to check these conversations out, and you can find a thread for all the features and topics that are related to the game. And then another, I would say, important thing that we have is the roadmap, which lives in the Codex website. This is a tool based on cards. So all what you can see now on the screen are the different decks, and we have on the bottom the decks for all the streams. So when you open the deck, you can you can find the different cards, which are the tasks that have been done for that stream. And then you can find the decks for like code or 3D, etc., which contains different tasks that are currently in progress. So you can have a glance there and see if there is any task you're interested in and you want to join. We usually put a link to the thread, and everything is more or less, I would say, linked. So yeah, never forget these 3 websites. I would say the starter pack for the Unity Open Project users.
Yeah, true. On the codex, you'll also find. Sorry, I wanted to add these decks at the beginning are full of information. So if you want to know more about the, for example, the design of the game, that's where you want to go.
Totally. And we also have maybe something I wanted to quickly mention, which is the devlogs. We now have 3 devlogs. The last one was about input. And this is an opportunity if you want to see things more like, how to call it, like it's really a condensed, as you Ciro say, like condensed open project learning experience. So you can really find these videos. We have 3 for now, and we have a branch specific for every video. So when you watch the video, everything you see, it has a branch that is specific to it that you can find in the Git repository. We have just shown when we were showing the different 3 resources, I would say, for the project. So yeah, feel free to watch that out. And I think the latest video was using 2021.1, so the project was migrated to that version specifically for the devlog.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, while on open projects, which version are we using? Let's ask the chat. I'm sure they will know.
Yeah. yes.
I'm sure by now they remember which version we're using. Let's see if somebody writes it. But spoiler?
Aren't we using the Unity 5?
Unity 5, yes, for sure. Somebody today was...
Maybe we should. We should migrate to Unity 5.
Can you imagine? It's a bit of a shock, actually, to open Unity 5 these days, because it looks so different. Like, it looks much more empty, of course. Yes, so Nathan Villar, or Villar, replies 2019.4.18, which is exactly the version we're using. Yes. So the point is we're using LTS. That was my point, right?
Yeah.
Long-term support. Yeah.
Actually, there's another question that I want to answer to. So someone asks, what is the devlog again? So the devlogs are on YouTube, the YouTube channel. And you can find the project on GitHub if you want. There are branches for each devlog that we have.
Yep.
So yeah, I want to answer that.
Yes, the devlogs, just to clarify, are video devlogs, right? So we post them on YouTube as part of the Unity channel. If you're looking for the links to all the things that Amel mentioned, they are in the video description, and they're basically everywhere. Every video about Open Project has those links, 3 links. Cool.
Yes. I guess maybe now it's the time to show a quick recap, I would say, of what we have previously shown in the Unity Open project. This is, I think, a very interesting part for people who never watched. It's good because they can catch up, and people who already watched, they can refresh, because things are going fast. Not fast, I would say, but there's a lot of things happening, and it's good to always have a recap. And we also add, as we said the last time, we have chapters in the live streams, so you can quickly check out which part that you need and easily find that.
Definitely. So should we start with the recap? And
yes, let's go.
Guys in the chat, people in the chat, we always wing it every time. So every time is different and we overlap each other, but let's do it. So 3, 2, 1. Previously on Open Project. In the first episode, I talked about the toon shading and the outline. So how we created the look of the game. So if you're interested in shading and shader graph, I suggest you to go back there, full of information. Then in episode 2,
we have introduced the scriptable object events to create a powerful system that we decided to implement because we wanted to avoid using singletons. And with the system, we have shown how we can raise events without and with parameters, like the scene loading system.
Yeah, and we talked also about the UI wireframing and how our game will look like and feel like. We had a lot of feedbacks following this part, and we improved it again. You can find these diagrams on Miro.
And I also touched on the state machine, which is a community contribution, which basically powers our characters. So it's a machine made of states, and our characters, switch between them: idle, walking, moving, jumping, and that powers all of the characters in the game. In episode 3, Chema.
Yeah, in episode 3, we talked about the game design and progression. Also, this is present on Miro, and you can see there that this was improved so that it encompasses all the quest system that we have.
And we have also introduced the dialogue and cutscene systems to manage how we request to start a cutscene or a dialogue, passing by timeline that speaks with this system to request the lines.
Yeah, and we also saw very briefly how to create a custom timeline track and clip.
In that episode 2, we talked about the game localization and how to localize our dialogue, the dialogue that we have. And then, of course, later use it for every other system.
Yeah. I also touched on the input system, which is actually the subject of our third devlog. So if you want to see it in more depth, you can go back to episode 3. In episode 4, we had a guest, Andy. Yes. But I started with the audio system, which is what is going to power the audio in the whole game. It's a very complicated system, which allows us to control everything from a centralized location. And then Andy, he basically contributed to the project with a couple of interesting shaders. One to tint characters, as you can see here in these images. And then the second one was to tint the environment, which created a little bit of drama as we found out that there was an issue with it. So go check it out, and it's pretty interesting.
In the episode 5, we talked about the inventory system, and we used the event system for that.
And then we talked about the word interaction system that allows to perform 3 possible interactions: the pickup, the cooking, and the talking.
And finally, I made a fantastic demo. Go check it out, and you'll understand why I'm saying this, not because it's fantastic, about prefabs and variants. And a couple of interesting advanced techniques.
Episode 6 was for scene organization, I think, Amel.
Yeah, so we made major changes, and we separated the managers into one scene, which is called the persistent managers, and which is loaded all the time. But we also had an extra scene that is loaded during the gameplay called gameplay. So we have shown how we made the area architecture of all of the scenes.
Yeah, and we talked also about the quest system, and we started working on that. I say started because today we are also going to talk about the quest system and how we progressed with that.
It's a big system indeed.
Yeah, exactly.
And finally, I touched on animation rigging. So I shown how we can use this package to improve the movement of the character. Not like this, I mean, in a better way.
That was the funny part.
Yeah. And that's all. So if you're interested in these topics, I suggest you can go back to previous episodes. Again, they all have chapters and also subtitles, although automatic. So you can just skip to the point that you're interested in. Yep.
Yeah.
Do we have any question in the chat? Just to start with, let's start interacting with people. Do you like hamburgers?
Someone asked, yes. Yeah. I like hamburgers.
First question answered. I have a question for the chat, actually. Did you know of any projects from before? Or is it the first time you follow this, the first time you see this live stream? If you want to quickly give kind of a show of hands or virtual hands. I mean, I see some names, so for sure there's some returning watchers. Did you know, Amel and Chema?
Sorry?
Did you know about the project? I'm
not sure.
I think so. I think so. I'm not sure.
In the meantime, sorry, I wanted to answer a question. Jose Hernandez, he asks, what do you use for the camera, a Cinemachine or a custom solution? It's Cinemachine, yes. Right now we're using an Orbit camera, I think it's called. Oh my god, I forgot the name. the one that allows you to control like the movement around the character. But one thing I would love to do is to have different interesting cameras for different locations, and then once you get into that location, maybe the camera control becomes different. For example, there's a tunnel that somebody in the community whiteboxed. It would be interesting to have a camera that just follows through the tunnel, kind of like on a rail. So with Cinemachine, we could probably do that quite easily. That's going to be probably one of the next tasks, actually. Somebody says, please read my name.
Many people,
no.
Yeah, many people are here for the first time. This is nice.
That's
Welcome,
cool.
everyone.
That's cool. It's a good mix, I think. I recognize so many nicknames.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a few new people and a few people returning. And that's why we always do the intro. Sorry for the returning ones, of course. Yes, Free Look Cinemachine. Thank you. That's the name of the Orbit camera.
Yeah, that's nice.
Free Look. Yes, thank you. Okay, cool. Let's proceed, and then we will take some questions. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to make comments. We read everything, even if we don't read it like right away during the live stream. We often like check the recording, so we're always interested in your feedback. We're always interested in what you think about the project, what you think about the live streams as well. Just drop it there. Cool. Who's starting? Who wants to show me something or show the chat something?
Yeah, I want to show something. Can you share my screen, Ciro?
Of course.
Awesome. Tell me if everyone is seeing it.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, I'm just putting it here because there will be a reveal later. So as we talked last time, we talked about the quest system and how it will be done. So we said that there's a list of quests that will be linear, and we will only have one quest at the time, and people that will replay the game will replay the same order for the quests. And that actually sparked some discussion on the forums. People were not very convinced with that. We're not very excited by that. So we talked with the community and we talked with the team. And finally, we landed on a middle ground solution. So the game will not be completely free world. So for example, you can't go to one character and have a quest and then have a quest with another character, but you can have a quest at a time, and you can have some quests that are unordered. So to do that, we thought about creating a grouping of quests. So this is how the quest line was created. The quest line is actually a list of quests that can be activated in an unordered fashion, but the quest line by itself need to be ordered. I don't know if I'm going too fast, please tell me. But this is the big revelation for today. We're going to have quest lines and then quests.
And this is a suggestion from the community, right?
Yeah, it was a suggestion from the community, and I thought that this was the thing that approached best, having something very simple, but at the same time having something that is fun. So what this does is this created a diagram that looks a bit like this. We will be using this kind of diagram to describe our quests when we are going to propose them. So, for example, if there's someone from the community that is thinking about the timeline or about a quest or something, they should use this kind of diagram just so it's easier for us to read and easier for us to control. So, as you can see, we have here two quest lines. We have the first quest line that has three separate quests, and the second a quest line that has only one quest. We can have from 1 to 1 million quests in one quest line. I know that Ciro will like this. The thing is, if we are going to have multiple quests, and because when we talked about it, we thought about how we are going to activate a quest. So to activate a quest, you need to talk with one of the characters. So for example, in here, to activate the first recipe quest, we need to talk with the bard hair and then meet them, discuss with them, and then get a knife. These are the steps of the quest that we will have. The thing is, if we are going to have an unordered type of quest in the quest line, we need that every first step needs to be activated by a different character. So that, for example, if we talk with the first townsfolk, we activate this quest. But if we talk with the bard hair, we activate this one. And so that we don't have a mix-up between the quests. We will see that better, I think, when we're going to go in the other diagram that I will show you. So in summary, this is the quest diagram that we will be using to describe our quests in the game. If we go back to Miro, and then we see this diagram here, it will explain how things changed from last time. I'm sorry, I can't seem to zoom in. Yeah, this now it's working. So last time, what we did was the quest manager was controlling all the quests because we only have one quest at a time. So each time we activate a quest, we tell the character that this quest is activated. If they have a step, then they have a different dialogue. But if they don't have a step, they have the default dialogue. Currently, we changed that so that when we interact with the character will ask, what is the dialogue that I need to say? What is the dialogue that I need to show? And the quest anchor scriptable object that exists in all the characters that are in the scene will check if there's a quest, will start if no quest is started, and will check the first step or the second step or whatever, and will return the correct dialogue for the character to show.
And Chema,
and this will
we want to quickly mention what's an anchor, because it's a concept that we invented ourselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, the anchor here is a scriptable object that has the informations that we need to be shared between different parts of the game. So for example, here, the quest manager has access to the informations in the quest anchor, and the step controller has access to the same information, so that because the step controller exists on different characters, if one of the characters changes something, then it changes for everyone, and also changes for the quest manager.
Actually, as a quick example, I also use the anchor on the so the camera is looking or is searching for the anchor to the transform of the main character, so that the camera is kind of like detached from the character. It doesn't need to have a direct reference, but the anchor will always contain the transform. So the camera knows that at the beginning of the game, it can go get the transform and it will find it there. And that's how we point the Cinemachine camera to the character. So I'll suggest go check that out. Sorry, quick parenthesis.
Yeah, no worries. We have a lot of first-time people, so we have to explain that to them. So yeah, and it continues almost as what we did last time. The only thing is that, as we said, we added a middleman here. We added the quest anchor that contains all the informations, so that each character in the scene can be the one to activate the quest, and not the quest manager will activate the quest. So, yeah. This was one of the changes. I think that we're done with the quest progress, the quest system progress in here. And before going through to the dialogue system, I wanted to know if someone had any question.
They have, but I mean, I hope, but there's a slight delay, so we'll see in a second. Reading some questions. Somebody's saying, referencing the anchors, they say, looking forward to reading how it handles null references. Well, number one, there's a check for a null reference. So it's handled by the kind of like the entity that goes and fetches the anchor. That's up to us, right? Like that's up to us to check if that thing is available. But for now, the idea, for example, for the camera and the main characters is that the camera expects the main character to be spawned, and then if he doesn't find it, it doesn't assign any reference, so it's not going to point to anything. Or alternatively, we can spin out like a debug warning, in that case, so you find the issue straight away. That's the idea behind anchors. Let's see if somebody's asking questions about the quest dialogues and localization. Not really. No, we can go on.
Okay.
Oh, wait. There's a question. Is the quest system attached to some kind of save system at the moment? I didn't see it on the chart.
To some kind of no, not currently. I think the save system is not developed yet, but we have a card for it, don't we, Ciro?
Yeah. I mean, it's good that we didn't start with it yet, because obviously it's hard to. But we actually have I think we have a PR in flight for that from a while ago. So we're gonna.
Yeah, we talked about it, and we said that because we didn't have enough information about the quest system and we didn't know what exactly we were going to save, we didn't want to start with making a save system about something that we didn't know.
Yeah.
But I think now we can start a bit. I mean, in the quest manager here, there is start quest line, but in fact, I was planning on the quest manager to be the place where you find the saved information and then you start the quest line. That is not done. So yeah.
Okay. In any case, I just wanted to mention that even though, a PR can be old, like some people made a PR a while ago, sometimes 20 days, 1 month ago, we don't forget about them. Like we still have just 20 open. So it's really easy to go and scan and see the ones that were open a while ago, and that maybe sometimes I add the label blocked, I think. But in general, what we mean is that we're gonna get back to them. So don't worry. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah. So as we said last time, the quest line is based a lot on dialogue. So it has a start dialogue, a win dialogue, and a lose dialogue. Actually, win dialogue and lose dialogue have been changed to complete and incomplete, so that when you complete the step, then you play this dialogue, and when you don't complete it, then you play that other dialogue. That was one of the community's suggestions, which I liked a lot. And the thing is, when we talked with the team, we saw that the dialogue data has actors and sentences, which are a different type of scriptable objects. And we thought that this only contains the localized string. So we changed this completely to that. Currently, sorry, this is not good. Because we are changing different things, there's sometimes some problems. So as I said, we changed the dialogue lines, and now these are list of localized strings, and the choices have a localized string, and we don't have sentences anymore. We removed that scriptable object so that we have something less complex. Yeah. So as you can see here, and we talked about it earlier, we are using the localized package everywhere in the scene, everywhere in our project. We are using it for the dialogue system, for the inventory, etc. Today we are going to talk about how we used it for the quest system for the dialogues. And to do that, I'm going to open this sheet here. So, because our quests are based on dialogues, these are the dialogues that we will have. So, hello, welcome to the beach. Here's a knife for you. Hello there. Can you look for some tomatoes, etc.
So I guess, Chema, sorry to interrupt. What's the reason why we're using the spreadsheet?
Actually, we are using the spreadsheet so that we can have the community participate and propose other translations to the dialogue, and to have all the dialogue in the same place so that we can control it and read it better.
Yeah, perfect. And then we want to kind of like, how do you say? Oh God, I'm missing the word now. Crowdsource?
Yeah, crowdsource the dialogues.
No, crowdsource. That's what I meant. Like, ask the community to contribute the localization. Because what languages do we speak? I speak Italian, bad Spanish, and bad English, and Napolitan. What languages do you speak?
English, French, Arabic, a little Danish, not a lot.
We speak Danish.
Same without the Danish for me, but bad Italian for me.
So yeah, we have a list of languages that we speak, but I think that we will need the community to help us with the other languages, because we need a lot.
Yes,
definitely.
So as we said, for now we only have the English and the French. The English and the French translation for the dialogues, and this is the whole dialogue that we have. Now let's move to our game. I will just remind everyone about the localization system that we are using. We are using the localization package that you can find in the package manager. Then you can go to the project settings and you can see your localization here. These are the locales that we are using, and we can add other locales and generate them. So this is for the localization system. We are also using asset tables. So if you go to the asset table folder, you will find some for the inventory. For example, we have the inventory item action. If we open the table, we can see that, for example, this is the keyword that we're going to query to have use and utiliser in French. This is for equip, équiper, and many other things.
Do you want to zoom a little bit on the table?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's interesting to show it a little bit because the package is relatively new.
Yes. How can you zoom exactly? I don't remember.
Windows Plus.
Windows Plus.
Yeah.
Nice. Or Windows minus. So as you can see here, this is the table, and if we want to create another table, we can go to new table collection. We can choose if we want to create a string table or an asset table, and the difference here is that a string table is only for strings, whereas the asset table can have multiple types of assets. So you can, for example, have a font table or a flag table, which contains the icons in here.
So you can manage basically not only strings, right?
Exactly. You can manage any type of asset you want. So for example, let's say that we have a flag. We can have it for UK and France, or if you want, for example, to have different font for different languages, you can have that as well. And we will see that later. So as I said, you can create new tables, or you can edit existing tables here. The thing is, I want to show the game, how it's currently played, and then I'm gonna do something very radical. I want to remove the localization asset, the localization table that I have, and create it again with the community. What do you think, people? Do I do that?
What do you want to do again? Sorry, I got distracted and I'm like, I just heard you want to do something very radical. I'm like, Chema, chill.
I'm going to remove the list of dialogues that I have.
Okay.
And
Live
create
now.
it again.
You're gonna do it
live
now.
with the community. Yes.
Okay. Sure.
I don't know why the character doesn't want to move.
It's starting well.
This is perfect. Yes. So this is what we have now. We have 3 quests. The one that I've shown you earlier. So if I interact with the first character in here, I will have, do you want a mixer? And if I answer yes, here we go. Then I have a mixer here. Nice. Now, if I interact with that same character again, and because we don't have any interaction with them, any other interaction with them, they will say their default dialogue, which is, hey. Just every time that we interact with them, we will have, hey. Now, when we interact with this one, we will have, hello there, another interaction. Can you look for some tomatoes, please? Let's interact with them again. They asking, did you find the tomatoes? Well, I didn't look for them, so no problem. Come back when you find some. Okay, now we have to look for tomatoes so that we can finish that quest that we have there. So
there's a critter attacking you there.
So we have the tomato. We go back and we interact with the same character or with another character, but we will only have a response from this one. So did you find the tomatoes? Yes, perfect. And if we interact with them again, we might have a reward. Here's the tomato soup recipe for you. So now if we open the inventory, we have a recipe for tomato soup. Now let's interact with the bug hair, which is the last quest that we have in that quest line. They will say, welcome to the beach. If we interact with them again, here's a knife for you, and they just give us a knife. So yeah, I know we had that knife before, but they give us a knife too. Now, when we interact with the bard hair again, which is the only character that has a quest in the new quest line, we will have welcome to town. We're not in the beach anymore. And then, do you know how to cook a tomato soup? And we can answer either yes, which means that we know how to cook the tomato soup, or no. So if we answer yes, can you bring me some? They're asking us to bring them some tomato soup. So if we interact with them again, we will have, do you have the tomato soup? Yes, but we don't have it. So they tell us to come back when we have it. To complete this one, we need to interact with the pot, of course, and to cook our recipe here.
So obviously
So
the cooking mechanic is also very central to this game, right? Like with all these ingredients.
Yes, of course. And the cooking system and the inventory system are explained, I think, in the 5th episode, if you want to know more about them. So now when we interact with the bard hair, they will ask us the same question, because this is the question that we have on repeat. If we say yes, they say, awesome, it tastes so good. Nice, that's good. And if we interact with them now, they will give us the same default dialogue that we have. And I don't know if you seen that or not, but in the first quest line, we have a reward that is the mixer. We look for the tomato, and we have a reward that is the tomato soup. And these 3 ingredients, these 3 items, these 3 things will help us to do another quest, but in a different quest line. We can't have quests that are linked in the first quest line, but we can have it in the quest line that is after. So yeah. Now, let's talk about the dialogues. I love this. So, what did people say? Do we remove all the assets here and do them again?
Should we do that? Chat, do you want a risky demo? Do you want to see us destroy the project live? I mean, of course we have Git to go back, but like, so yes to risk or no? Safe path. Let's give them some time to reply.
Chat. Yes.
It's actually the Unity account is say like freaky deaky demo time. I don't know if that's it's a slang thing to mean yes. I mean, Chema, go. Make a mess.
Yeah, let's
havoc.
try it.
Yeah.
Now that you the quest, no problem.
But explain me everything in detail because I also want to follow this.
Yeah, okay. And stop me if you have any question or the chat has any question.
Okay.
Okay, so let's remove this, delete. Now we've deleted all the text that we have for dialogues, and we will have a big mess if we try to play the game currently. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create a new string table. And to do that, we're going to go to Asset Management and Localization Tables, and we're going to create a table that we're going to call Dialogues, for example. And create string table collection. We're going to use where to create that here in the quest system. And now this is created. This is good. But this is very empty compared to the list of dialogues that we have. So the thing that we could use here is we could use the extensions so that we will populate the table. Let me just put it here so that we see everything happening in real time. And do I need to zoom?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can, always, because the text is going to be very small, especially if somebody's watching from their phone or something.
Yeah. So I'm zooming. Yeah. This is good?
Yeah, perfect.
For everyone? Good. Now, this is the string table that we have, and as you can see, we have the English and the French, because these are the two locales that we already have in our game. Now, to populate the string table that we have in here, the localization table, what we will do is that we are going to use the extensions, and we're going to use either Google Sheet extensions or CSV extensions. These two actually help us. So for example, if we use the CSV, we will have a CSV file, but if we use the Google Sheet extensions, which is the one that we're going to use, we need a sheet service provider, and for this one, there's a tutorial that you can follow to know how to create a sheet service provider. For us, we already have ours that is created, and because we have to authentify in that and add some code, some secret ID, etc., we're not going to show it, but we're going to share with you a link that can help you to do your own. And you can find it also in the documentation for localization. Now that we have the sheet service provider, we can create a new spreadsheet, but we already have our own. So what we will do is that we're going to get the spreadsheet ID of our spreadsheet. So to do that, let's just go back to our spreadsheet here. And the spreadsheet ID is what is between these two slash here, after the D and before edit. So this is our spreadsheet ID. Now let's just paste it here. You can do that for your game, but for our game, for the open project, we're going to ask the community to prepare their translations, and we will just copy paste them in our own spreadsheet. So now that we have our spreadsheet ID, you can see that if you click on select sheet, you can have the list of sheets that you have in your spreadsheet. So you can choose between dialogue, questline dialogue, or Italian, for example. Here I have the quest line dialog. This contains all the information that I need. And once we choose the spreadsheet, we need to choose a key column. This actually key column, we're going to tell our extension here where to find the keys to put in the entry. Then we're going to add a local column. So this the English one is in column B. Then we're going to add another local column for the French, and the French exists on the column C. Let's just check it in our spreadsheet. And yeah, so the English is in the column B, the French is column C, and the keys are in column A. So
I'm going to ask the chat now. Do you know what's a locale?
Yeah. Okay.
Just out of curiosity, because it's sometimes something which we give for granted, but I'm curious if they know what's a locale. If somebody doesn't know, who knows?
Someone says, my nose is almost touching the screen, so I think I'm gonna...
I guess it's, on the phone. So yeah, locales are basically... I don't want to say something wrong actually, but I think they're a combination of a language with a location in the world, and basically define like a culture, right? So they're not just a language, because as you can see, not from this screenshot, but sometimes you have English UK, English America, English Canada, right? So those are locales. So they allow you to have basically more refined control over than just languages.
Yeah, I will show that later. I will show more locales for people so that you can see that there are some different locales between, for example, French Canada and French.
Carl, who's the developer actually on the localization package, says language plus region. Okay, so I wasn't very far away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, and say hi to Carl Jones. Thank you very much for this localization package.
Hi, Carl.
So now that we have everything that is mapped out, we have the key column and we have the two locales that we have in our spreadsheet. We're going to click on pull, but I'm going to zoom out just so that we can see the magic happen. And once we pull it, we will see that everything that we have, all our dialogue is here in the string table that we have. So that's cool. That's a first step, I think. The second step would be to populate all the informations that we lost. So if we go to the start dialog, SD is for start dialog, S1 is for step 1, Q1 is for quest 1, and QL1 is for quest line 1. So this is the naming that we chose for the dialogues. Now, if we go here, we will see that we lost all the referencing. We lost all the string referencing that we have. And to put them back again, we need to look for them. So we will click L1, SD, S1. I think this is it. And it's actually very time consuming. I think I spent like 1 hour or something to do that the first time that I did. And actually you get kind of lost. So you have to be very careful to not lose it, to not lose the IDs in the first time. But the thing is, what we can do is that we can develop our own script, our own function that will actually fetch for us every string from the dialogue and put it in the correct place. So what I did here, and this is actually only happening on editor and not on runtime. So I'm just gonna do it on enable, and then once it's done, I'm going to just comment it. So this is only when I want to refresh the list of dialogue lines that I have. So what I did is each time in the dialogue data scriptable object, I'm going to look for the string table collection. Ours now is called, I think, dialogue. Let's just check if that's the name that we used. It's dialogues with S. So we're going to look for the table dialogues. And then if we find it, we're going to look each time at the key with an index and the name of the dialogue data that we have. Sorry.
Chema, the chat is praising your programming abilities.
Nice.
I'm not joking.
Thank you.
Somebody called you Dexter for some reason.
Okay. So the thing is, we're going to find each time the lines. So for example, sometimes a dialogue can have multiple lines, and we don't know that earlier. So what we're going to do is that we're going to look for this collection and the shared data in there, and we're going to look if it contains the key that we're looking for. And if it does, then we're going to create this dialogue line, and we're going to add it to the dialogue lines that we have. And this will actually help us not do that manually for each scriptable object that we have. And believe me, we have a lot. So now, normally if we do that, and this is the part that I'm afraid about.
Shema,
Normally, once
project. No, you're almost
once
there.
Unity is refreshing everything, we should find all the dialogues filled. And yeah, as you can see here, if we go to any quest, any step, and any dialogue, we will see that it was filled. Yay! I'm not doing myself today. So now, when we have this, we can just comment this line because we don't need it to be done each time. We just need it to be done once we have our list updated or something. Yeah, that's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
feel
cool. It's pretty cool. And the chat is appreciating, again, they're commenting your coding skills.
Thank you.
I think that's the cool part, right? The fact that like the package gives you access to, apart from the fact that you can see the internals of the localization package, but then obviously in Unity it's easy to create these quick scripts that move data around and reorganize it the way you need in your project.
Yeah, and the cool thing was this that I didn't talk about yet. Let me just find the dialogues here. This is our table here. So if we open it, and for example, let's say that the first line will not be hello, it will be hello there with, I don't know, multiple lines. And the cool thing is that we can click on push, and what will happen is that if we go back to our here, didn't happen. If we go back to our lines, let's look for hello here. This is the line that we changed, and as you can see, it changed also in the sprite sheet that we have. So if we just put it back to hello, simple hello, and then we pull the information, we will see it changing. So this is the cool part. I really like it.
Yeah, this is really super awesome. Like a lot of time that you usually like waste doing things manually. So now it's like super quick, super responsive. Again, this is one of my top 3 packages.
Top 3 packages.
You wanna raise? Yeah. That's like one of my favorite packages. I'm really
But not
impressed.
the first.
It's a hard question, Ciro.
It's Carla's here.
Yeah, Carly's here. Just think that
Okay, Carla's here. It's number 1. If there's better than
So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to add a locale with everyone. So I wanted to add Italian. I know you saw that I have a sheet that's called Italian. Ciro helped us with the translation. So what we will do is that we're going to generate a locale. And as you can see, there is Arabic, but also there is Arabic Algeria, Arabic Egypt, Arabic Tunisia, Arabic Syria.
So those are the locales, right? The definition.
These are the locales, exactly. So what we're going to do is that we're going to look for Napolitan.
Yes.
So Italian, Italy or Italian, whichever, we're going to use just Italian. And we're going to generate this locale. We're going to put it in localization files under locale. And now we have it available in our localization settings. So if we go back to the table editor, and if we add here locale column and we add Italian, and then let's just put the Italian column here. I hope it's in the correct place. I don't know. So yeah. And it's in the column D. And if we go back, we will see that it's automatically did the column D. We will pull it. But the thing is, we don't have it here. I think there should be somewhere. I don't remember where exactly, but yeah. So we will see here a message with missing tables.
For sure.
Yeah, I need to zoom, of course. Yes. I'm sorry about this. So once we zoom, we will see that we have missing tables and we see Italian IT. So if we create this, we will see it added as a column in our table. And we will pull it so that it's filled. It's not the correct order, I think. I don't know why, but the order in my spreadsheet changed, and I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so we will fix that later. This is the cool thing, that later I can give this to Ciro and ask him to just reorder it so that it's in the correct order here. So yeah. As you can see, we added the Italian without any problem, and I think that we will do this for every language that you want to propose to us.
That's cool. And we're working on all the languages with like non-Latin alphabets as well. So we're gonna add that as an, I wouldn't say a stretch goal, but yeah, they require obviously more work.
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, for languages with special characters, someone from the community proposed a PR, which is very, very helpful, and we integrated it just this morning. This is the PR that they proposed. It's called Localized TMP font, because they found out that for some languages, the font that we are using will not be available. So what they did is that they created an extension for the localization package. And currently, when you have a Text Mesh Pro, you can add a localized TM Pro font event, which works almost the same as the string event. It will detect the time where you change the language, and it will choose the font that you are using. And this is working because you can have some asset tables, and you can have in the asset tables a font, like we've shown you earlier.
As we said before, right? Like when we said, when you've shown the flags, which are obviously a texture, but you can create asset tables that accept different types of assets. So you can basically localize assets, even though they're not text or audio. You can localize.
Exactly.
I don't know if I would say pretty much anything, but yeah.
Let's ask Carl. So what we will do is that here, for example, I have the text TMP. This is, I think, for the button. And I can choose to localize the font event. And what I will do is that I'm going to drag and drop the same game object that I'm working on here. And I'm going to choose the font asset. And yeah, I think I'm just going to choose the font here. So now we have this font. This is the table collection that we will be using. And I'm just going to choose the Text Mesh Pro and font. So now what will happen is each time we're going to change the language, we're going to use the corresponding font for that one. So thank you very much for, I don't remember the name exactly, Brett Huang. Thank you very much for that PR. It's really working well.
And I think Unity has a solution, sorry, the localization package has a solution for that in newer versions, right, Chema?
I think it will be in the next versions that will come out. But yeah, we're planning on making something for that.
Okay, but for now, for open projects, we're gonna use this PR from one of the community members because it does what it needs to do. So why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for that contribution.
Yeah.
All right. Are we done with localization?
Yeah. Thank you. Is there any question from anyone? I will keep the project open if there's any question.
Carl is in the chat actually. Carl Jones is answering many questions related to localization. So
well, this is helpful.
Yeah. Couldn't we localize with .rscx files? I actually don't know what that is. Yeah, so Carl says that localized property variants is our answer to the TMP script, but it's not available yet. So that's what we were referring to, that is going to come to the localization package. It's basically going to allow you to create variants of properties based on the localization that is currently active, right? So based on the locale that is currently selected. Cool. When will we be able to contribute to other languages? That's a good question, and we need to touch on that. So the spreadsheet that Chema has shown you, which is obviously in construction, is gonna be locked. That's gonna be kind of like the final version, right? And it's the one that is integrated into the project. It's locked obviously because we don't want to run into the possibility of being vandalized or yeah, that happens. There's trolls everywhere. They're everywhere, even in my house right now. And I know that sounded weird, but we need to double check the validity of the translation. So we will move every validated translation into this spreadsheet, but then we will have maybe an open one where people could contribute and vandalize. So get ready. Get ready to vandalize in every language. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please.
Please don't do it because Ciro asked you to not do it.
Yeah,
it's different.
Exactly.
Ciro asked for it.
But yeah. No, give us good translations. Translations are super hard. And one thing we need to do actually, Chema, I forgot to tell you, we should integrate a column on the spreadsheet, not in the translation, not in the table, but on the spreadsheet with notes. Because we need to provide notes to contextualize all of the strings.
Yeah, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, we can also add these comments like in the asset table. I think we can add comments if we need it.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be good to have them on the spreadsheet, so that somebody who's focusing on that has the note just next to it, because actually that's where you really don't have context.
Yeah.
To make good localizations, you always need good context to understand where the string is actually being used.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. We're gonna pick up some questions later, I think. But do we have? Are we done with localization, Chema?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. We're never done with localization. I will prepare something for maybe 2 or 3 episodes in the future.
2 or 3 episodes.
But for now, we're good.
We might probably do a devlog focused on this. So later on, we'll do some devlog which is going to be like a condensed version on the package, maybe with some news or some more advanced use case. Cool. Amel, is it your turn?
Yes.
Do you have
guess
news
so.
for us?
I have some. Yeah, I'm like I have new updates, and I would like to share my screen to start showing these updates. I would say. Okay, so I would like to say I'm happy to announce that we can officially kill in the game, of course. So I'm gonna...
Okay.
So all you have to do is press play, and then I will show you.
And then you can kill.
Some time. Because for so long we see creatures in the scene and like nothing happens. So now I'm like, you can kill them. That's new. That's an update, and we definitely want to show it to the community. So now, as you can see, we have the plant critter, and we also have the slime critter. Let's kill this one first. So I'm gonna get toward it and watch me killing some critters. So for now, you can notice that I'm the only one like that can give attack to those critters. Those critters cannot attack me again. That's also something I want to mention. This is what I will show today is more or less the first version of the combat system. It's not final yet, and in the next episode we'll show how we can also receive attacks. So now we just killed the plant critter who doesn't move, as we had this convention, I would say, since we started. And now we have the slime critter. As you can see, it's now moving. And now when I get in their alert zone, they're gonna start following me. And now look at them trying to kill me. So, oops.
You know, I'm gonna make a clip out of that sentence you said before, and use it against you later on.
Out of context. No. And now you can see that we can pick up also the apples. So now we can kill, and we have a reward, which is the droppables that we get. And now we again have the plant critter, which is static, so it's easier to kill, I would say, than the slime ones, because the slime ones, they detect where you are, they follow you, and they chase you, and they hate you. And yeah, let's try to get everything we can here. So now I just got a smoothie, and I'm gonna just stop the game and say, where did we get this from? So this is from a community contribution. This is a very amazing contribution from Trevis, and it's actually a bunch of different PRs. This is when he initially added the critter behavior, and then we had another one for the droppables. He even added the French translation for the names. So I would say merci beaucoup, which means thank you to Trevis. And he also added the slime propelling attack movement. So as you can see when I showed in the demo, the slime critters push me back every time. So today I wanted to show what we currently have and what we want to change, because I think it's really interesting to sometimes raise these discussions to the live streams and to the community so they can see what happens behind the scenes and why we make some decisions and why not. So as you can see, the plant critter, for instance, it has a link to the state machine that, as a reminder, we use to move from one state to another. It's used for the pig chef, which is the main character, but we are also using it for the critter. And we also have this critter script, which is going to have major changes, and I will mention why. This critter script has, for now, a critter SO, which contains all the different properties that we have for the plant critter. So if I click on it, you can see that this one has the name of the critter, has the health, but also for the roaming. So for the slime, because it moves, it has a wait time, a roaming speed, chasing speed. And we obviously have the droppables, is when you kill a critter, you can get the droppables afterwards. And from this, we can notice that these things that we are seeing, they are quite repeated in the game. Like, slime creatures are not the only characters that we have in the game that can get attacked, or that have health, or that give us droppables. So that's why we decided to have like refactoring to be able to use those parts. So another day we want to probably add the pots. We want to break them. So the pots will be breakable, like they have a health, and they give us a droppable in the end after we crush them, I would say. So that's why we thought, oh, we need this in creatures, but we also need it for the pots, but we also need it for the main character, because the main character has health and he also can get attacked. So because we have these things repeated, it's better if we have them somehow extracted. And that's why I said this is not the final version. I still wanted to show it so we can see those different questions and why we want to do those changes in the future.
It's cool to see it evolve, as you say. Like it's a first version, and then maybe by next stream we will have the kind of like the finalized version. But it's never finalized until the end, right?
Yeah, that's true. We keep always adding some tweaks and adjustments as we move forward in the game, which is a bit similar, I would say, to the development in real life. I would say when you make a game, even though it's a vertical slice as a reminder, but we also try to show you how it really happens, like behind the scenes, and this is how usually it happens. We always have things that keep change and evolve, and I really love, because usually it's like community discussion. They bring these things and we bring it together and we discuss it. And I will share actually my screen quickly to show how we discussed this in the forum. So we thought, hey, we can maybe separate this to like NPC related stuff, droppable stuff, because as you know, NPC here we mean not only the creatures will move, for instance, the slime creatures, the characters will also move. As Chema was showing us in the quest system, we will have to interact with them a lot, but they will have like an initial state where they are roaming around the map, moving from one waypoint to another. So that's why it's also interesting to extract this NPC part and put it as a separate section, I would say. So for now, there is, I would say, a lot of discussion going on. We have a new PR open from Trevis as well, who is discussing with Divisky, who is the one working mainly a lot on and contributing a lot on the state machine, about whether we want to include these as states. So when you are roaming, for instance, you are going from one vector position to another. So why not include this into the action SO in the state machine? So I'm not going into details in that yet, because we don't know yet what will be the final version, but I just wanted to show how it will evolve, I would say, potentially in the next episode when we will talk more about it. I just wanted to mention today something that I don't think is going to change, probably, which is the nav mesh agent. So if we go back to the editor, you can see that the slime creators, because they move, they have this nav mesh agent component. And this component is basically, you can attach it to all the characters or all the creatures that will move around the map. We want them to move by themselves, I would say. So we can define the different parameters, including the speed, the angular speed, acceleration, and so on. So you can tweak it depending on how you want the behavior to be. And now, where are they going to move? They are going to move on the map using what we call the nav mesh. So if I go here in navigation window, and the way to open this is by going to Window, AI, and then you click Navigation, and you can see it. You can see here that we have the different parts that are not walkable, like the stones, for instance. So first thing that you do, you need to mark it as navigation static. You can do it from here, from the navigation window, but you can also do it from the inspector. If I do this here, you can see the static. I press the arrow, and then you can select navigation static. And now we can see that we can select this area type. So it could be not walkable or jump. And the way to access those areas is by going to the area tab here, and we can see those different areas. So you can see that the floor, for instance, which is the ground, it's a navigation static, but it's walkable, because all this blue area is where we want to walk. Now, every time we make any changes on that, we want to do bake. It's a bit similar like the lighting, but I would say this is much simpler. Let's try to maybe add this plant. and make it as navigation static and not walkable. So now when I press bake, I'm generating a new nav mesh, and you can see that now this area is not walkable anymore and it's not blue. And you can also play around with different parameters before you do the bake, so feel free to do so if you want. Also, as a reminder for this nav mesh, I thought it was interesting to introduce it this early because it's something you can already start using with, for instance, the whiteboxing. No spoil, but maybe we're going to talk about whiteboxing later. And I think it's important to start feeling how the game is going to be. I see your face, Ciro. You're upset. I'm spoiling.
I don't hear it.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Sorry, I muted myself. No, I'm saying it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not a spoiler.
Yeah. So I thought it's really interesting that we can start interacting, for instance, and test the quest system, test the whiteboxing, and test everything as if it was more or less the final game. But of course, because it's whiteboxing, not with the final assets. But it's really interesting that you can already use the navigation and the nav mesh with that. And also, if I click on scenes and I find my work in progress scene, which is the testing ground, you can go to the folder here and you can see that we have a nav mesh asset. So this nav mesh asset is generated when we press this bake button that we mentioned earlier. So it's a bit like the lighting for those who are familiar with that. Do we have any questions in the chat about the nav mesh or the nav mesh agent for now?
I don't see questions regarding nav mesh. I mean, people are like, yeah, cool, generic agents. Devil may chop combat. Wow. And then somebody was asking about, whether the movement was going to be done through nav mesh, and then you replied instantly.
Yeah. So for nav mesh also, we started raising this discussion on the thread about having different waypoints in the map that allow us to move from one to another, or a path. This means that we have only 2 waypoints in the array. And the way Trevis is doing it as well now for the slime critters is they are roaming around their center, the central position. So we want to have 2 types, I would say, of movement. One is around a center point, and one is moving from one position to another, which is the waypoints. And we've been discussing with Ciro like different ways to visualize those waypoints to make them easier to position. We thought about even using the Cinemachine path, but then we thought it's maybe like a bit specific to because it allows you to have it smooth. Yeah, a bit overkill, and such a tool shouldn't be hard to create, I would say. So we're going to probably have our own way of visualizing these different waypoints, and then use them with the NPCs and everything that basically moves in the game.
Yep.
I think we have some questions.
I was just about to gather them, but Chema, go on.
Oh, okay. So there is a question that said, is there a nav mesh map in the scene? And I think we shown that.
Yeah, so this is the nav mesh asset. So as I said, if you go to the folder that we have, for instance, this scene is in the folder work in progress, and you can find the folder that we have for that scene. And when you open it, you can find this nav mesh asset. It's like when you find the reflection probe, for instance, for the lights. So yes, you can find the nav mesh asset, and it's generated when you press bake from the navigation window.
Yeah, and another question is, what's height nav mesh? Height nav mesh?
Height, yeah.
Is it for the agent?
Height, maybe.
Height.
Yeah.
Height.
Could
Yeah,
be.
actually, when I hovered that, it said how much vertical clearance space must exist.
Exactly.
Yeah, so basically, because the way the nav mesh baking works, right, is the thing that Amel is showing right now, that cylinder, that blue cylinder, is kind of like an virtual representation of the size of the character. So agent height is supposing that the character is 1 meter tall, and basically when you bake the nav mesh, if something has 1 meter from the ground, it becomes walkable, right? If it's lower, then that area doesn't become walkable. So it's a set of parameters that control what gets baked into a walkable area.
Totally.
Same for the step height, which is right now 0.4. That's basically, if something is taller than 0.4, then it means that it will not be a walkable or not a connected area. And then it gets broken into 2 levels. And you have to provide what is called, what are they called, Amel? Off-mesh links, I think?
Yeah, off-mesh links, yeah.
Yeah, to connect 2 areas that are basically not connected with each other. Cool.
There's another question that says, NavMesh is going to work too with the player?
No.
No, yeah, the player will be controlled as usual using the input from the character. So basically in NavMesh, we only use it for characters that will move themselves, like AI-driven, I would say, behavior. So it's something we don't want to control, something happening in the background, probably like critters moving, roaming around, or the NPCs, for instance, talking to each other. They may have this state of like talking, and then they move to one waypoint to another. So they have this like idle or this behavior that we want to control using NavMesh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I show again the game, we can see the slime critter again here. It's in idle, now it starts moving. So now it's moving using the NavMesh. And this is exactly how we intend to do it for the rest of the characters.
Carl Jones is helping us in the chat, and he says that height mesh allows you to place your character more accurately on the walkable surfaces. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Carl.
I'm not sure if that's part of the new components, though. Not sure. Anyway, cool. Amel, something more, something else?
Yeah, so as I said, the discussion is still going on for this part, which is the combat system. So next week, in 2 weeks, sorry. Yeah, in 2 weeks, in the next episode, we will talk about not the final, obviously, but more or less the final, I would say, combat system. So we can attack, but also get attacked, finally, and have also the different NPCs moving at the map. So yeah.
Amel promoting violence.
Amel's thirst of violence will finally be
no
quenched.
in the game, obviously.
Virtual violence. Okay, cool. Shall we move on?
Yes, I think there's no other questions I see in the chat.
Yeah, if there's any other questions later about NavMesh or AI or the combat system, we can answer them later. And I guess maybe we can move to the next section with Ciro.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about world building, I would say. A little bit about whiteboxing, but in general, it's basically how we put together this world that we're designing. It's a long discussion. It's been going on for a while. It basically started as soon as we started this game. People were talking about the, how the world was configured. If it was like a one scene, multiple scenes, how many scenes, and I was always trying to keep things concentrated and small, because making a world which is continuous and kind of like an open world is complex. So we kicked off this task, the whiteboxing, which is basically trying to create a rough geometry of the levels, and then from there refine it and make the final levels, right? And many users, I want to share my screen now. Many users picked up the task, especially one. It's called It's Leviosa, as you can see here on the forums. And they started whiteboxing some areas, mainly the beach and the town. And It's Leviosa in particular, they made this map that you're seeing right here, which actually I can show you in Unity directly. So as you can see, they whiteboxed basically the whole game world. So if I maximize, you can see that this is the beach. This is an area we call the Glade, which has this very interesting tunnel, which eventually takes us to this bridge, and from the bridge we move to another green area. Then we move to town, which is where the festival will happen. And then from the town, you can basically go back and forth between different areas. So you go back here, or you move to this area, which is going to be the forest, or you go up and you go in an area which we call the path. The path is basically a path up the mountain. And as you can see, they designed, I'm going to zoom out, they designed the whole island. It's pretty interesting. I really loved the design. But then when we were trying this island in this white boxed version, we really found out that it's pretty big. So I was discussing with Smurio, another user on the forums, how can we make it sure that it's not that big? Because an important thing which I wanna stress out is that the island doesn't need to be all playable area. Like the island can be there, but maybe as we look at the island, the area on the beach can only be smaller, the playable area, like this area here, right? So let's say kind of like a selection like this, and that's the playable area. And then everything that's outside this selection will be just scenery. And that should help us with the size of these scenes. So what I was proposing on the forums was a situation where you basically have and sorry for my very bad drawing here, where we have these small playable areas and then connections between them. And these connections, they will teleport you. So you would for example, exit the town from here and you will be immediately teleported to the forest, which is here. And this should help us have basically all this area in between. It will be less detailed. And that's, again, we don't want to make an MMO here. That would be a very challenging task. And we don't think we have the resources to do it on a community based with a community-based approach. So we wanna kind of reduce the scale of the playable areas. And to do that, so another discussion that we were having. So one proposition that I had was to make small playable areas and connect them with teleports, which is probably what's going to happen. But then Smurio, one of our very active users, she proposed to reduce the island itself and to break it down into less scenes. The scenes will still have a teleport in between, but maybe some of them will be much more adjacent, I would say. But anyway, to show you what I'm working on, and this is actually a surprise also for Chema and Amel, which haven't seen this. It was okay, let's surprise everyone.
Can't wait.
So I started from this white boxed map, and then I prepared these two locations: beach, which is basically this white area here, and the glade, which is this area here on top of the mountain. So if I go to the beach scene, and by the way, this tool here, and now it's my turn to zoom. I hope it's not gonna break my computer. This tool here that you see, scene selector, is something that also somebody from the community made. Amel, it was Dot Squid and?
Yes, Dot Squid, and we have Thomas Shenya who started that. So
it's a collaboration between them. Really useful tool. I can just click on one of these and it basically sends me to one of the scenes. So for example, if I want to open the beach, I click here, don't save. And now I'm looking at the beach scene which I prepared. So as you can see, it looks quite similar to the white boxed version. You have this kind of half moon beach scenario, and then you have the glade here. Now, what's the point? The playable area is here. It's you like it? It's good?
Yeah, it looks really beautiful.
Wait.
Looks really
I'll show
good,
you when you play it. No. I mean, now I'm gonna press play. So the important thing that I wanna stress is that the playable area for the beach is here at the bottom. So for example, if I go down all the way down here, we find the boat that the character lands on the island with. Then we see what's his name? Bardhair. Yeah. And then, from here you will be basically moving around and checking the beginning tutorial on how to move, how to fight, how to do things. And then up there we have the glade, which is the area that I want to reach. And I placed the entrance to the glade in this little cave. So basically, the playable area is, I'm gonna zoom out, is just this and all of this area here, but not up there. That's kind of like scenery. And if I show you the structure in the hierarchy, you will notice that I've divided it into environment, which is here, and background, which is here. So the background is exactly, and I need to enable gizmos, is exactly this area here. So this one is considered background from the point of view of the beach. So the beach scene has this playable area, and that's the background. By contrary, if you go to the glade, and you notice that when I switch scenes, some things change a little bit. You see?
Yeah.
So if I'm in the glade is the playable area, and that's considered background. So from the glade point of view, the beach is background, right?
Nice.
And I used prefabs to break them into parts. And what's happening is, let me actually play the game a little bit. So don't save. And I'm gonna force, 16:9 is fine. Let's hope my computer resists while streaming and playing the game. Oof, okay. Yeah, so you can see how basically I can roam around the beach, and I have this very, very vast playable area. Starting from the boat, there's the bird hair down there. Here I could have the tutorial, and then I walk up the hill, and I get eventually to that location, which is here under the archway. And as you can see, at this point, I'm seeing the glade is up here, but I'm really seeing it just a little bit, and I'm not seeing anything behind the glade. So if I go up here and I enter this this collider, I get basically teleported up to the glade, which is now, I'm basically looking at the beach from above, you see? Now the glade is the area that is playable, and the beach is just background. So from here, I can then climb all the way, and there's gonna be like some critters here, some stuff will happen. Now, one thing that you will notice here as I explore this area is that it's very big. Like, one thing we noticed that I mentioned before with the whiteboxing is that we realized that everything is mastodontic. Like even these rocks up here, and as you enter this cave, which looked like a little tunnel, it's gigantic. I mean, don't mind too much these rocks, which I cannot climb right now. But in general, what I'm saying is like it takes a lot of time to walk through the scenery. So I'm proposing to make it a bit smaller. And then once I get here, you can see the rest of the island. Sorry?
My question is, did you spawn that part of the island when you were in the glade? Or was it spawned from earlier?
Which part?
The second part, the one that you're looking at now.
Ah, no, that's Skybox.
Ah,
that's Skybox.
Okay.
So now as I walk here, you can see that the illusion kind of like comes away, because as I'm approaching the bridge, you can notice that the bridge is disconnected from the rest of the island. So what we need here, and I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna show you from above. My computer is like dying. Maybe I need to, okay. It wasn't dying actually. So I wanted to show you from above. What's happening here is that we have the rest of the island in the skybox, right? Of course, it's the white boxed version because we don't have it yet. And so when I get here to the bridge, the illusion comes away. So we need to somehow stop the movement when you get here to the bridge. We can't go all the way down to the bridge. Otherwise, we will need at least this area here as 3D. So the more we allow movement, the more 3D we need around the player. And that's a problem because as you can see, these scenes look pretty decent, but in my opinion, they're also still pretty empty. And they're already approaching like a certain amount of game objects in the scene. So we don't want to exaggerate, because for now it runs, but we want to make this game runnable also on like machines that are not super fast. So I'm trying to basically find the right measure and make some tests. And I'm gonna push these scenes to the repository so people can try them straight away. The thing that I wanted to show you as well is basically what we're gonna do here is, because some stuff is scenery and some stuff is just background, what we can do on the background is we can simplify. So for example, if I go to the beach and I know that the glade is for me considered background, what I can do here is I don't have the flowers. You see that the flowers that were in the other scene are not here.
Yeah.
That's because from the point of view of the beach, I always see the glade from down here. So again, this is a quick test, but we might remove also like the trees, we might remove other details which are not necessary. And that's why actually in this scene, you will notice that the glade has a lot of missing rocks in the back part. Because you don't see them. So one thing we need to do is we need to basically partition the game world into parts and then use only the ones that are immediately surrounding the game area. And that's what on the forums I call them mega prefab walls, because they are walls that are very close to the playable area and they give you the impression of 3D.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the scene is contained in the skybox, which is not 3D, right? So we need to mix and match these 3D elements with what's 2D, which is the skybox.
I really like this part of developing a game, like seeing the
drama.
the drama. I meant the coulisses. I don't know how to say
like
it.
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. Thank you. So yeah, behind the scenes and seeing how it's done and imagining like other games that you've played and saying, yeah, I think they did the same, or maybe they used the plane, or maybe. So yeah, it's really, I think this is a good way.
Chema is very dangerous because Chema loves World of Warcraft, so she's going for an MMO, and I'm like, let's make.
Yeah, each time we talk about the quest system, I'm like, in World of Warcraft, they do that. So yeah.
Let me show just another small thing. So how do we make the skyboxes? Well, my idea was to use reflection probes. So what I've done, and again, for now in the skybox, you see the whiteboxing scene because that's the only representation of the island we have. So what I've done is I've placed a couple of reflection probes. You see here in the hierarchy, I have a beach skybox probe and glade skybox probe. Sorry. And what happens is that the beach skybox probe is from the point of view of the beach, right? So from where I suppose the character will see the world when it's in the beach, that's where the probe is. And then I bake this probe. Obviously, when I bake the probe, I actually deselect the beach and I deselect the glade. So then I have only the rest in the background. And so, as you can see, the beach probe is pointing to a custom probe. So if I click this one, it points to a cube map, which is here. And that's exactly the thing that gets baked, which I'm then gonna use for the final skybox. So as you can see, this one here is the skybox that we see from the beach. You see it's missing the glade. From the glade, if we look at the same skybox, it's a bit more further on, right? So the one that we see from the glade, instead of being here on the water level, is here. So it's seeing the city a little bit from above, because that's where you would see the scenery once you emerge from the other side of the tunnel. So we need different skyboxes for every scene, and we need a way to bake these skyboxes, which means that at some point we will need to have somehow like the whole island loaded into one scene to bake these different point of views, and then we will turn on and off like different 3D parts of the scenery. So for example, I'm in the beach, I turn off the glade, I turn off something else, and I bake. I'm in the glade, I turn off the glade, I turn off the beach, I turn off maybe the first part of town, and I bake, right? And that's why we also need to, we can't have scenes like at the origin, but we need things positioned in the correct spot. And that's why I thought of using prefabs. So if you go back to, for example, beach, let's go back to the beach. You will see that, for example, the ground is broken into beach right, beach left, beach shells. So beach shells is a collection of all the tiny shells that you see here on the beach, which when you're in the glade, they are disabled. And if we manage to break down the world into these like building blocks, then we can create like scenes that are 3D but are far away and they have less details. There's a little bit of work to do there, so we'll see where we get. The ground is actually showing one very nice shader, which I think it was Dan Young, I don't want to attribute it to the wrong person, made in a PR just today. And as you can see, it's basically kind of like a terrain shader which blends 4 textures into one, and it uses vertex color to blend these 4 textures. So this allows us to paint basically multiple textures, as you can see here, like dirt and grass and sand, all on the same mesh.
That looks so nice.
Yeah, it's taking shape, I would say. It's it's not there yet, but it's definitely taking shape. What else? Another trick, actually, I wanted to show you very, very quickly, and then I'm gonna wrap up. When we bake, you will notice that because we're using this shader which cuts down on like shapes, when we bake, you will notice that in these scenes I'm using 4 texels per unit. So the value of texels is very, very low. Normally Unity starts from 40. But here, honestly, we don't need that much amount of resolution. So you can get away with very, very low values, which means that when I press bake here, I actually managed to bake this huge scene in relatively short time. I don't know if I can show you the baked light map. Yeah, there we go. With 4 texels per unit, I already get like this amount of resolution, which is honestly enough. And then what I did is that for background elements, as you can see here, the difference between this rock here, I cannot see the gizmos, but the difference between this rock here and this rock here is that I'm baking them at different resolutions. So this one, which is now a background from the point of view of the beach, if you select this rock, you will notice that here in the inspector, the value for scaling light map, instead of being 1, is 0.2. But if I go to the glade and I select the same rock, the scaling light map is 1, because from the point of the glade, this rock is pretty close to the camera. So this is also something we need to do, to carefully construct like each scene and tweak, and turn on and off like different prefabs and tweak them to bake them at a higher or lower resolution. We will obviously hide characters and hide interactable objects, and this way we should be able to have a pretty substantial world loaded at any time without actually having to bake it all in the skybox, and then we can bake the rest in the skybox. But yeah, you've also seen how big the scenes are, so I think we need to like restrict them a little bit. That's it from me. That was the world building stuff that I wanted to show you.
That looks really cool. There's a lot of positive comments, I would say, in the chat, and I think this is nice tricks. Thanks for sharing this, Ciro, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Again, this is a first step, but I think it's starting to come together. We can start to see like how the world is actually quite organic, I would say, like with a mix. And if people, I think somebody's asking in the chat. I just wanted to mention, yes, the ground is. Why am I not visualizing it? I need to open ProBuilder. ProBuilder window. So the grounds. I baked it. Yeah, never mind. But I made it with ProBuilder, And then you can see the mesh if I enable the collider. So this is 3 ProBuilder meshes. I can move them maybe. And then I painted the trees with Polybrush. So in Polybrush, I have a set of, here in the decoration, I have some palettes. So you can see here I have one called catch-all, and then I have ferns and bushes, forest trees, grass, palms. And for each one of them, I have a bunch of prefabs that are configured to have, like, for example, randomized rotation, or a scale which is like from 1 to 1.3. And then with all of these prefabs, I basically scatter them on the environment meshes. Yeah.
We have a question, Ciro, about which water system you used. I guess the water that was shown in the beach, and maybe you want to talk more about that shader.
It's just the water that one of our users made, Trevise. It's a contribution that was made a while ago, and yeah, you'll find it in the project if you want. It's not a system; it's just a shader. It's a shade. Yeah.
So one other question is the walking sound on different texture will be different? I think it's one of the cards that we have in Codec. So if anyone is interested, you can participate and contribute with that.
Yeah, definitely. That's something we need to work on.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll push this thing soon to the project, and then you will be able to explore this scene and test it out on your machine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Any more questions?
Yes.
Somebody's asking. Will the NPC follow the player through the scenes? If so, how do you do that? No, it won't, because basically we will always have only one location loaded at a time. So if you're in the beach, we're in the beach. As soon as you enter that cave that takes you to the glade, as I've shown you, we unload the beach and we load the glade, which has different prefabs, has different terrain. So the player is respawned in the glade, and then all the enemies will be new and yeah.
Even the characters are new. So for example, if you have a bard hair that is in the beach, it's not the same that will be in the glade or in the town.
Yeah, exactly. We can have characters kind of like different copies, as if they traveled ahead of you in some way. Yeah. But obviously the game will retain some state, like the dialogues, the quests, they will be retained, but the rest is kind of like reset.
Of course, and I remind you that that's why we have the gameplay scene, which is a scene that contains all the managers and the things that will be retained during the gameplay. And I think we have another scene that is persisting data or persisting managers that contain everything that will be throughout the game.
Yes, the game and the menus, right?
Yeah. Yep. And more about this, just go and watch the last episode. I think we talked about it, and there's a story about it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm done with my demo. Let's see.
Do we want to show maybe? Yeah, maybe let's see if there is any more questions about this, or we can maybe show some community contributions.
Do we have community contributions?
Yeah, so we've been showing them, I would say, throughout. Like every time we mentioned this, like Chema presented something, but she said, "Oh, I've used also this. Same for me, same for Ciro." So we always try to include them also in the the bigger chunks, I would say, in these episodes. But we also wanna sometimes highlight few of them. So maybe let me just show some. Quickly some art contributions. Yep. So if I share my screen, yeah, we can see that we have this very cute eyebrow that you can see. It's Unibrow from Barta Spalox, who contributed with this, and it's using the same material as the mustache, and it's really cute. So thank you for this. We also have this hat that is coming from Morty J. Hin. So thank you for this contribution. We also have this oven that is from Anten 66. I'm doing my best to keep track of the names. And then we have our friend
pineapple pizza.
Smorio made really these amazing contributions with like a lot of fruits, vegetables that we put in the boxes to just showcase them. So we have the ginger, cucumber, artichokes, lemon. We even have critters' eggs, as you can see here. And the lemons we have like slices, half slices, leaves. This is also critters' eggs, the stone ones. We have almonds. And here I made these small stands with lemons and orange from her contribution as well. We also have onions.
Do you want to maximize the scene view? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to do that. I'm sorry. So yeah, we have a cucumber cut in half. So it's really cool because she really made like I would say almost all of those fruit and vegetables like in different states, I would say. Like as groups, cut, field, that's really cool.
Really cool.
We have also the corn, vanilla, chocolate, which is my favorite. Oops. That's really nice chocolate. And then we also have seeds from critters and the truffles and the vanilla. Yeah.
Nice. I'm actually very happy that we have this, but the thing is, we can't use the placeholders anymore. And I think people are starting to like them in the chat. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that looks amazing. Thank you all for those contributions. And I guess if you want to see this more, just head to the Git repository here. You can see all the contributions that have been merged and the ones that are still open. And we have more than 300 contributions so far. So thanks a lot, everyone, for all of these contributions.
Yeah, to a couple of questions.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So, and that's all for the contributions. Do we have any questions before we wrap up?
Let's double check. In the meantime, I want to say for this live stream, we're not gonna do like the live putting new cards into the roadmap. We're gonna do them later with more time. But yeah, check for the future steps. Let's say, as Amel said at the beginning of the episode, we have the roadmap. The link is in the description. The roadmap has things that we have done in the past, but also things that we need to do for the future. So we're gonna put some new cards in these decks, and here you can find how to contribute to this project. And if you want to contribute, you go to the GitHub repository and you make your PRs. Before contributing, or as usual, talk on the forums, make your propositions there, chat with the others as well, because it's not just a one-person solo initiative. So yeah, we're gonna provide some more cards on things to do soon, maybe tomorrow early. And that's about it. If we don't have any final questions, has the wiki been updated? Yes, we added input very recently. We're gonna add more stuff as it becomes more finalized, let's say. Yeah, on GitHub you have to download the code every time you update, or it can be set it up to sync. I mean, it's you use Git, so you would be able to push your changes, and they are kind of like a difference. So you don't download and upload everything every time, but you just push the difference and you download the difference actually. Okay. Somebody's saying, I want to thank you and Amel, Chema, and say that this is really great for us all.
Thank you.
Is this the first ever Unity game being discussed like this? Well done and keep doing it. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's the first time we do something like this. And that's why, sometimes we had some friction. We're a bit slow as well in the development, but it's because there's this back and forth But it's really exciting. It's really super nice to see how many contributions we've had. As Amel mentioned before, we had 320 PRs or contributions so far, so it's insane. It's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Thank you everyone for watching. I think we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
And we're arriving to the end of this episode.
Yeah. So
if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. We will stay a bit after the live stream, and join us to the threads. Join the community that is already developing. Do some PRs. Just watch us work. Anything.
Yeah.
We're here for that.
Yeah, definitely. Bye from us. Thank you for joining.
Bye everyone.
Thank you all for watching. See you soon. Bye.
Bye bye.